looking for a reason why you do the things.
It's nice to see you.
It was great to see you.
How are you?
I'm great, but without further ado, I want to tell you why I'm great, and it's because compliment approaching. So if you want to like avert your eyes, I just watched your video for That's My Home, and I was stunned. But I wasn't surprised, so it's a weird feeling. We don't have a word for that, really. How can you be, like, completely stunned and not surprised at all that you're stunned? Can you give me that word?
I don't know that. Let's make it up. We'll find it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. It's, yeah, just never, this song, That's My Home, as well as, I don't know why I'm blanking on it right now.
That's okay.
What's the other video that you just put out that I love so much? Whole Again, sorry.
Don't be sorry.
That's my whole That's my whole again?
That's my whole again. That's a whole other song that we can make.
Okay, yeah, it's a stunning like two-part. They work really well together, I think, perhaps intentionally on your part.
Thank you. Trying. Yeah.
Really well together, and I've just never seen a more potent combination of a song and a video. I mean, honestly, I hope that there's a forum for like showcasing that in terms of like the Emmys or something. You know? Like, do they have a music video category for like real shit that matters?
Well, maybe we can help make that happen.
Yeah. I mean, like, you know, cat videos are cool and all, and I know they're popular, believe me. But this is just, yeah, this is really some of the best, if not the work I've ever seen. I really mean it, and I hope we can tell people how it came about a little bit in terms of us collaborating.
I wanted you to be, I had an idea of doing this little interview segment, and I had wanted you to be my first guest. And then it's so cool because it happened on the release day that we could both do it. And I just got to thank you. So many people have been just already moved by the solo that you were so generous in putting on that song. And
I'm so happy.
It means the world to me. And so the rest of you know this. I had amazing solos from amazing guitar players already set for this song, but for some reason there was like this itch that was not being scratched, and I like had a dream that Theo did the solo, which was kind of an odd dream.
You mean like an actual dream in the night, like dream?
Yes. Theo played the solo, and it was insane. And then I called Theo or texted you the next morning about it, and you just said, like, could you do this? I know this is crazy. And you said, yes.
Yeah.
And that was basically it.
Yeah. Well, I want everyone to know, and again, I don't know if you need to put like a blanket over your face. It's hard to tell you this to your face. But May is is kind of like my artistic North Star in terms of a musician. I just, for better or for worse, I measure myself in terms of like did I leave it all on the field that's a fair measurement. It's not like did I write that exact song? No, you can never do that. We have to be ourselves, but I think I try to take inspiration in terms of like emotion and intention from people, and that's a good question. Did I leave it all on the field? You know, did I put everything I had into that? And I do feel, you know, I get to have my feelings over here, okay? It's nothing to do with you. I just happen to feel that you are my North Star for that, okay? So, I want people to know that, number one, because I want everyone possible to check out your music because it's been so important to me, and I really think it's that good. So I hope everyone who may potentially come into contact with it does. And So yeah, in that sense, I was ready to say yes to basically whatever you asked. But you were like trying to master it pretty soon too.
Yeah.
And I was actually in Europe
Yeah.
for like another 3 or 4 days, and I couldn't. I thought about finding a studio to do this in, but I didn't have my guitar with me, and I was like not thrilled about that idea. Wait, maybe I did have my guitar with me, but it just, I had a sense that it wasn't, I actually hadn't even heard the song yet.
No, yeah.
I just was like, I don't feel like doing this right now. This is going to be rushed. So then I went back home to LA, and I just want people to know I listened to the song, and I was ready to record on it, and I like was so moved by the song that I actually stopped working for the whole day, and I drove around for a long time to just like reset myself because I was blown away by it. And then I tried the next day to record the solo, and I picked up my Strat, and I was doing it in standard tuning. Somebody said, you sound like you have a cold. I just want to answer this question. I'm okay, but I have a dust allergy, and every morning I wake up with a stuffed nose. It's just kind of my life. So it takes me a couple hours to sound like that. Point is, sorry.
No, it's good.
I took my Strat out, and I started playing on it, and it was like, something isn't right about this. And I have another guitar that has flat wound strings on it, and your song is in the key of C. So for the first time in my life, I just put this guitar all the way down to the key of C, open C. And it was like, whoa, the action got like jacked up, and it was really hard to play. So I tried playing on it, and I don't even know the tuning yet at this point. So I'm hearing something, but I can't play it yet. So I tried it that day, didn't get it. Tried it the next day, didn't get it. And I didn't tell May this, but it took me about a week of like, I tried it every day for 5 days. And on the 5th day, he ascended.
Well,
sorry, but that's when it got knocked in there.
It's so beautiful, and I'm so grateful
Thanks.
to you. And it just captures the sentiment, and I'm excited for your world of guitar playing to blossom out into a bigger flower than it's been before. It's kind of like got me thinking of what's going to be next for Theo's guitar playing.
Totally. Well, you've really inspired me to go that direction, and in the sense of just like working on it. I guess I'm surrounded by so many incredible musicians and guitar players that I sort of never thought of myself in that realm as like, oh, take the solo guy. But of course, like I'm a songwriter, and that's part of it. As I thought, oh, well, I'll write or whatever. But actually, you gave me an opportunity, and I have to be honest. I just want to say this for my own, just so everybody knows, this is my favorite solo I've ever recorded. Hands down. And I actually didn't know I was capable of that, so you gave me a real gift, not just as something I can be like, I did that, but just like you showed me something's possible in myself, and that's really important to me. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, I know you don't have a ton of time, and so I want to stop talking about my music and talk a little bit about your music.
Okay.
Because you just released a single that I'm very excited about. And I'm working on this new record, and it's coming out soon, and you've got this crazy tour lined up. So I want to know who's Modern Johnny?
Oh, good question. So really quickly, we're getting some people commenting, I'm seeing here, asking, they just joined and they don't know the name of the song we're talking about.
Oh.
Can you tell them?
Yes. Well, the song of mine that we're talking about is called That's My Home, and it was just released today.
Yeah.
And we just moved on to Theo's song, You Could Be President, his new record.
Yes. So this is a great time because we're both about to release albums, and it's a nice feeling. I've spent a handful of mornings and late evenings in the same house in Michigan where May and I tend to stay when we're there, like, and we usually miss each other like chips in the night a lot of the time. And we've had so many mornings where we're like, "How you doing?" And you're like, "Oh man, I'm trying to get this record done."
Yeah.
So I think some of that, I mean, I've been in the same place, so some of that is rubbed off, I hope, and like it's like, here we go.
Yes.
Okay, so yeah, so I have a tour coming up, and biggest tour I've ever done. It's ambitious. I'm gonna blame my booking agent for pushing me to do all that, and I hope it works well. He would probably be upset if I said this to anyone, let alone on the internet for forever public record. But I told him that he thinks it's gonna do well, and I'm a little scared about it, of course, because I have that built into me. But I know I need to push myself, so I'm going for it. I'm excited to play the shows. You asked me who is Modern Johnny, right?
Yeah, if you feel like answering that yet.
I do, yeah. So Modern Johnny is like a feeling that I've had for a long time. I think my friends who know me well know that I come up with characters. I have like a lot of characters I've written down over the years. And I don't know if it makes a ton of sense, but it's like when I have a feeling of I'm feeling a certain way, I'll come up with a character for that feeling. So like when I was not really living anywhere and I was trying to live out of the suitcase and roam around like a weirdo, I got the character Floating Johansson. I don't know where it comes from.
This is good.
Floating Johansson got a little, and he turned into Nowhere Jones. So I would tell my friends so now we have these like sort of, these characters represent feelings and states of being. So if I'm talking to Joe Dart and I'm like, "Where you at, man?" He'll be like, "Oh, just floating Johansson, man. I'm just Johanssoning." So that's how this has come to be. So
That's amazing.
over the years, Modern Johnny just like solidified as this idea of like, I know Johnny is a typically male name, and I happen to be someone who identifies as male, but I do feel like it applies to everyone. It's like Modern Johnny is like every person to me, singer-songwriter, trying to make it in today's world and kind of dealing with what you see in today's world in terms of the political sphere, the inner emotional sphere of just being a human and having human experiences, dealing with struggles and romance and your life, et cetera, but also dealing with the internet in a way that's just like, I feel like I have no frame of reference for this thing that's happening now. And so there's endless opportunities for us to judge ourselves now, and there's the particular danger of having a number attached to your name.
Yeah.
Which in the case of you and me is not exactly your business, even though it is. Your business actually is called the same thing that it says on your birth certificate.
Right.
So it's like a little bit of a head trip, you know?
Right.
To be like, oh, that's my best thing I've ever done. 5 likes. Or even if you're like 10,000 likes, you're like,
Yeah.
the cat video's got 8 billion.
Yeah.
What's up? You know, and so Modern Johnny to me is like embodying the spirit of somebody who's trying to deal with all that in today's world. I kind of think of it like a Kurt Vonnegut novel. He's got Kilgore Trout and Phil Boyd Studge, these like names of people that are characters that are in multiple books, but they sort of are the same guy, but they don't connect with one another at all. There's no like, hey, remember when you were in Germany and now you're in Indiana? It's like there's no connection between them. It's just an archetype.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I could have just said that.
I like the journey, and it makes, I don't know, would you say that Modern Johnny allows you to to take one step out of being completely responsible for what you recount as the witness in your songs?
That's a good question. I've been thinking a lot about that. I think so. But it sort of happened the other way around. I didn't decide, like, I'm going to write from a perspective of character. Here I go. It was like I started writing and I was like, who is this, like, kind of Southern accented, like, weirdly, like, hyper sarcastic person? What the heck is this?
Yeah. I love it.
Yeah. And sometimes it's like kind of English. I'm just like, I think I just sang that in an English accent. Like, whoops. Still feels like me. I don't feel like I'm not being myself. I'm not going to, like, wear a mask for the shows, you know?
Yeah.
So that's why I didn't want to, like, change my artist name or anything. It was more like, it's like Modern Johnny and I are having this experience together in real time.
That's nice.
But I have thought about putting a playlist together of, like, Theo Katzman songs and Modern Johnny songs, where I'm like, I wrote that, and that's just came right from me, and the other thing came from me too, or through me, but it's like, like I said, it's just like, this is like Little Feat just being pissed about, like, wealth inequality. This is just bizarre. Singing in a Southern accent. I'm from Long Island. Yeah. What happened? You know, I don't know.
Yeah. No, it makes sense. Thank you for explaining it.
Thanks for asking.
I'm
this
really
is fun.
excited about these new songs, and I know how much you poured into them from The Ships in the Night and Passion, and being someone who is inspired by you a lot of the time in your dedication to your art. It's just, I'm excited for the world to get to hear what you've been doing. It's like, it's a
Thanks.
big deal.
Me too.
And
totally. Yeah. Whether
it's the birth certificate you or the Modern Johnny you, like, we love you. I know so many people do, and I'm like, feel so proud and so excited to see all those dates and that so many people are going to get to hear this music in such a broad way. It's like, it's huge.
Thank you, May. That means a lot. That means so much to me coming from you. I do feel ultimately it's me. It just was like, I actually had to ask myself a question. You and I have both worked with Tyler Duncan, the great producer, engineer, musical mastermind. And Tyler's like such a dear, close friend to me, and I feel very able to tell him, like, exactly the truth that I really feel in any given moment. And I was telling him about this record. I was like, if I'm really honest, because I had this idea for Modern Johnny, and it was like, people might think that I'm a certain thing, but if I were really honest with them, I would tell them about this part of myself. You know?
Yeah.
So it's weirdly like more real, because I'm like, yeah, I really do think about this stuff and write these doodles down and do this insanity. So yeah, I'm excited for that part too.
That's amazing. Yeah, Tyler drags it out, like, in the most gentle, encouraging way, but he's
totally.
Like, you don't want to report to Tyler with not your most truest stuff. And you don't, like, and sometimes that means you have to admit what your most true stuff is to yourself. And it's like, it's beyond art. It's like a spiritual experience. But
completely.
I'm so glad. I'm so grateful for him.
Me too. Can you tell everybody, if you don't mind, about your story behind your song Whole Again? So you have an album coming out, but you have 2 singles out right now.
Mm-hmm.
Whole Again and That's My Home, and they're both so powerful. I really recommend everybody go check them out. I just tweeted before this conversation a link to That's My Home, and if you go a couple tweets back, there's a link to Whole Again. That's all I use Twitter for, really, is reading about the music I love.
Yeah.
Can you tell about you, because you had a similar thing in terms of a dream connection with dreaming that I played the solo, sort of this, like, otherworldly thing happened where you thought, oh, he's got to do this, and then I did it, and you were like, that's it.
Yeah.
Can you tell us what happened with Whole Again?
Yeah, Whole Again was wild. I wrote it as a poem. I was actually getting a pedicure in a nail bar, and there was like,
Nice.
just to be honest, to get to the honest parts, but the nail bar was full of like 30 women maybe, and it was airing on TV, the Kavanaugh trials, and the whole room was completely silent. And usually those places are very talkative, and people are having a lot of conversation, and there's a lot of bustle, and everything was like a pin drop, and everyone was just like heavy. And I was watching the trial, and I was like, this is the heaviness that I've come to know is the pain of being a woman in the world. And so I wrote the poem, watching it and just sitting.
You wrote like just lyrics with no music, poem.
Just poem. And then I thought, I can't write this alone. It's just too much weight to try to carry by myself. And the only person I could think to bring it to at that time was Tyler. And so I sent him 2 recordings. One was just me keeping a beat and saying the words to a rhythm, but no melody.
No melody.
No key, no melody.
No key. Interesting.
I sent him another one that was some roughed melody. Just same thing, beat, rough melody. Tyler only got the first one with no melody, and he wrote the chords and sent it back to me, and I said, did you listen to the melody I sent? Because I had a weird feeling because he didn't reference it, and he had not listened to the melody memo and had written the song in the same key, A flat, as the melody, and written chords that went along exactly with the melody that I had sung.
That's insane.
It's crazy.
And
yeah.
Let me just say, there are. It's not even all diatonic.
No.
Like, there are chords that are outside the key harmony for those who are musicians listening in here.
Yeah, it was.
And they all worked with her melody. How is that possible?
I don't know. I mean, it is possible when we are connected on a crazy level, but like...
You guys are really crazy.
Well, you guys too. I mean, and the same thing happened with the solo, and it's just like... That's what... It's scary to reach, and it's scary to trust when we're reaching, but that's what happens when you do. Like, shit works out, you know?
Well, on that note, I have to tell everyone who's listening, too, that you have inspired me in so many ways that I've talked about, but also in terms of just speaking, using your music to like talk about what you're thinking about and what you're feeling about the world we live in right now, which is a really scary thing for an artist to do because it means getting sort of like pegged as somebody who's being political. And that's a treacherous path. It's a well-documented trodden path that it looks pretty like treacherous for most people.
Yeah.
But you know, we live in a crazy time, and I felt compelled. I didn't even try; it just came out of me. The songs that I've written that deal with, you know, could be construed as political, or just deal with what I would say are just the issues of our time in America and in the world, and. Mine are like a little on the edge. I tried to make mine, just because this is my nature, to make them kind of on the edge of sarcastic, little bit humorous, but like really painful as well at the same time, because that's kind of how it feels to me. We have different ways we say this stuff, but I was so scared and continue to be so scared of what people are going to think of this stuff. And, you know, for you, like, you have a really devoted following of people who just like love your music and are ready for whatever you put out. And I know I have the same, but I can see the ways maybe people would have like thought like, oh, May is like, she's a nice, sweet, folky gal. It's like, look out, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm like the like romantic heartbreak dude, but it's like, look out, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, do you want to do I Feel Like Saying? I think it's a good segue.
Yeah, great.
Because I know you have to go soon.
Yeah, well, I just have to go so that I can pretend like I'm gonna try to get the rest of the work done that I want to get done today.
Yeah.
But this has been great. But yeah, go ahead. Let's do I Feel Like Saying.
Okay, so this is like the premise for this idea came from these two people that were like mentors of mine, and at every conversation they would have a moment where they said, I feel like saying, and it was like a moment in a break in the like arc of the conversation or the confines of it to just say like what was on our hearts without any sort of expectation or even needing to justify it. And so I was like, man, what if we were given that opportunity in conversation more often, whatever it is, and how cool it would be to do that in an interview? What might happen if we give people that? So
I love that, particularly because when you emailed me about if I wanted to do this, you said this is kind of the breakdown of what we'll do. And when I got to the I Feel Like Saying part, I was like, what am I going to say? And then you were like, you wrote underneath it, you were like, don't think about it. It's just, that's the point, is to just say, oh, I feel like saying. Cool.
So, do you want me to go first? Would that help?
I think so.
Okay. I feel in this moment, talking with you and having this moment with you, just like a tremendous amount of gratitude for the seriousness that you put into your art. But in particular, your fearlessness in being that serious about it.
Wow.
Because
okay, thanks.
It's something that I look to, and you talked about. Yeah, you could cover. You got a third eye on.
Okay.
And this is just what came into my heart. I could have talked about oatmeal, but I'm talking about you because that's what's happening right now. And that I hold you as a North Star in that sense of like being disciplined and taking this art seriously, and also asking that other people don't discount it as a career and as a path. And that's something like anytime I wonder if I should be brave or I wonder if I should dig in deeper and try harder, I think about you and I think about Tyler. And so you've been beacons, and your willingness also go into deep issues that are challenging and support women especially, and be awake and continue to be humble and evolving and imperfection is really beautiful. And I want to thank you for that in front of these people listening, because I know that so many of them feel the same way, and it's important. So thank you.
Thank you, May. That really means so much to me. I also, like, I didn't know you felt that way, and we're friends.
Yeah.
Like, we tell each other, oh, I love you, but it's like, this is a cool forum to be able to, like, really tell people that,
Yeah, it's amazing.
We don't really do that enough. I try to. I don't mean you and I, but I think as people, another one of my favorite artists, like a North Star artist for me, is this guy, Aaron Lee Tasjan, who I happen to be wearing his shirt right now.
Nice.
And I saw him play the other day, and he was like, he quoted somebody, and he said, like so-and-so said, the two things that people you can never hear enough of are I love you and you're a good person.
Yeah.
So sometimes we want to like hold back because, well, what is someone going to think of me? But I try to just be like out with it. So that was a great example of that. Thank you. Do I go?
Yeah. If you want to.
I do. I feel like saying that it's so cool that we have, no matter how far away, you and I live, or however far you are from whoever you have built your life with or care about, your friends. In this case, you're in Michigan, I'm in LA, but I feel so grateful that we have a community and a scene. And I really feel like I'm learning how to do this from my friends. I read a Rolling Stone issue all about Tom Petty the other day. I learned some stuff from that too. But if I really think about it, I can even tell you where I learned certain chordal moves from, like, Joey Dosick. You know what I mean? from just like playing Joey's music. It was like, oh, now I know how to play these chords. It's just my whole life has come from my community, and it's just, I couldn't be more grateful for that. And I want to encourage everybody. One more thing, if I may.
Yeah,
Yay. I was talking with some friends last night. I was having dinner, and they were talking about how somebody had some really great advice, wisdom, and it kind of got into the territory of like, that guy just gets it. He just has it figured out,
Yeah.
And I said something that has occurred to me over time is like, when people seem like they have something figured out, it's because they so didn't have it figured out that they had to like really, really, really grapple with it.
Yeah.
And now they kind of maybe have some, some guideposts.
I love that.
So remember, myself included and you, like the things that you might call your wisdom or your truth, they come from your experience of going through this life and making tons of mistakes and feeling terrible about yourself and feeling like you're a fraud and you're not as good as this and that, or whatever the deal is, whatever the self-doubts we go through when we do anything that we are called to do. Not just music, if you're called to, whatever you're called to do, you're going to have some serious self-doubt. Try to prevent you from taking the risks. And the risks are really, what are they? Like potentially, quote, embarrassing yourself in the eyes of people you don't even know? Who cares?
Yeah.
But I care. We care. We care. That's why we make the work we make, and that's why our heart's in it, because we care. So anytime I'm about to put a record out, I always go through an insane wave of self-doubt. And I just kind of want to be honest about that, let everybody know, because you might be going through something similar, and just really try to push through that and know that your truth is important. And it's so much better to like take the risk than to not do something because of how you're afraid people will think of it. So I'm grateful that you always remind me by your own actions and just like sticking to, like, as I follow what you're doing, I'm just like, damn, okay, do it. So in some way, I think we're helping each other, with everyone in our community, take steps forward and really progress. So it's wonderful.
That's so beautiful, Theo. I'm so glad you said that out loud.
Me too.
It's so true and so important. And I bet I felt that way recently. I've talked to so many people. It's like when we're releasing something or giving something that's pure, it becomes so easy to like be terrified at the same time.
Completely terrified.
So I'm sure like people can relate to that, and it means a lot to have someone you admire say that they're afraid or
totally.
So I'm so glad you put that out there, and I'm grateful that you're continuing to do what you do, regardless of.
Me too. I was even scared to say that I was scared.
Yeah. Hell yeah. You
Perfect. I did it. You did it. Totally. Well, thank you so much for this opportunity, May. It looks like, thanks for everybody for listening. This is really, really fun, and I look forward to seeing you do this more, May.
Yeah, I'm going to keep doing it. Next week, Anna Ash is going to be on. Same time, same day. We're going to get into some good stuff with that. But, Theo, thank you for taking this precious time. Do you want to leave people with the 3 sides? I had this idea of leaving people with, because when you get sides at a restaurant, it's like when you get 3 sides, it's like a good deal. So 3 things that have been bringing you joy in your life, whatever they may be.
Honestly, I'm not just saying this because it's been happening recently. Your music, your new music in particular, has been bringing me a lot of joy. Just kind of rediscovering some guitar stuff that are, for the first time, discovering some open tuning stuff has been bringing me a ton of joy. Playing slide, just like playing guitar. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, we both play guitar, but how often do you just like sit down and just play the damn guitar with no agenda? You know, it's like, oh yeah. Yeah, and then the third thing is dinner with friends.
Yay.
Dinner with friends. If I have one piece of advice, dinner with friends. And if you can cook it, even better.
Hallelujah. Oh,
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
How about you? What are your 3 sides?
Oh, I didn't think about it.
Oh.
I've been getting ready for Halloween with my daughter.
Amazing.
She's her favorite holiday, so that's a huge deal. Big, huge deal, Halloween.
Yeah, totally.
I have been getting really into nettle tea. That's been bringing me a huge joy. And
Wow.
yeah, I'm not going to go into it right now, but it's got a lot of benefits.
Cool.
And all of the colors are changing so brightly and vividly right now. That it's like that fire time of red and yellow and orange, and it's just like bringing me joy.
Nowhere that I've ever seen in the world does that like Northern Michigan.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's the time.
That's beautiful.
Well, I love you, Theo. Thank you.
I love you too, May.
Have a great day.
Thank you. Everybody go check this new song out. That's My Home. My favorite guitar solo I've ever played is on it, and it's one of my favorite songs I've ever heard.
Thank you, Theo.
Love you, May. Talk to you soon. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye.